All right, folks. Welcome to Pieces Pat Paints. It is Wednesday. We have the lovely Kristen here, although you can't see her because of the light now. Because of the new camera. The new camera is where you can't really see her. Anyway, I wonder if we can adjust that. I don't know. I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Yep.
I just have to lean over here.
You'll just have to lean over there. So, hey, you're not used to the antics around here. This is how this goes all the time, regardless of who's participating. Anyway, let's get the. You don't need to see my inhaler. No. All right, so we're working on Kharn still. We've got a couple things left to do on him and on himself. So a couple little things to get rocking and rolling. I swear I think the camera likes my fingers when they're bare better than it does when it's got gloves on. I got gloves on. It's kind of funny. But anyway, the glow is looking real nice. We're still trying to figure out some lighting to help get it to where you guys can see it exactly the way I'm seeing it, which I think I can get that to work, but I've just got to keep messing with the with all of the settings. So anyway, looking pretty good here. We got some. I want to go ahead and work on our leather here. There's a little leather pouch that's down under there. We got to get that done today, and then we got to finish up his little backpack today. And since it is almost there, we're getting pretty close where we can set it up on him, which will help because it's so tiny. It's so hard to paint. But we want to make sure we get all these spots that you wouldn't be able to get to easily when it's on the backpack. We want to get those things done before we put it on there. Just because there are, he's going to be in the way of a lot of stuff here, guys. When you look at it on there, it's just not quite as easy to get underneath those places. So we're going to go ahead and knock that out today. And we're also going to make some terrain powder out of some old pastels. This is like chalk. But it's essentially just concentrated pigments. So we're going to knock that out first, just because if anybody who came to see that will get to see that and they can go on about their day. And anybody who came for all the other painting, they can see that. Best way to do this, guys, get something that you can put it in. It's going to kind of go everywhere. It's so you kind of want to be able to contain it. And then you get a hammer and you commit art murder. And that's the best part. Because it really does want to smash down to little pieces. We got a little like a vermilion here and a nice orange and a yellow, and then we got a brown. And all together, once that all gets mixed up, it's going to make a great looking terrain powder, which is what we want, and it's going to be cool. And definitely don't be afraid to get all those things pounded down.
It's cathartic.
It really is. It'll make you feel good. And you can just, imagine those little stressors in your life and be like, oh man, there's some bills. There's my children who just broke yet another lamp. Oh, there's that guy in traffic yesterday. Just make you feel better, Smash some stuff. Plus, a lot of times I do a lot of different types of art, so I always have this kind of stuff sitting around. And you get down to a certain point where the nub of the pastel's just like, oh god, it's so hard to use. And you end up buying a new one anyway, and you end up with a bunch of nubs just kind of sitting around. So this is helpful. It gives you a way to kind of use your old art supplies so you don't lose them. You could also, I suppose, you could just go over to Michael's or Hobby Lobby or whatever your art. I promise I'm just chopping the deal. I'm not gonna. There's no straws. Anyway, this is not a family show. It's definitely PG-13. PG-13, y'all. I'll put that disclaimer up there. So it's a lot of fun. You just get to kind of smash at it. you'll start to see, it'll start to kind of mix on us a little bit. But by the time this is all good and smashed down, you don't have to actually see all that smashing. And just so we can get this done quickly, I'm using the back of this. This is a little, this hammer's for like small woodworking. My grandfather used to build model ships and stuff out of wood and things. So he had a bunch of these old little woodworking tools, and I inherited them, and now I use them for committing art supply murder. Let's say recycling. That's probably a better word. I don't think I don't know that you get monetized saying things like murder. Not that we're anywhere close to being monetized. Yeah, I mean, we're starting to get there now. You can see that color on the bottom. We can scrape. We'll be able to scrape all that out, and we'll do the rest of this off camera, so that you guys don't have to sit here and watch me smash stuff up. But as you can see, we've got a real nice yellowy orange kind of dirt. It'll look like dirt, and we'll be able to like brush, and you can see how it sticks to my finger. So you'll be able to brush this on to parts of your terrain that you need to look like dusty. So if you're trying to make, like, if we want him to run across a hellscape or whatever, or a dusty old battlefield or place where the desert or whatever, you can use those powders to kind of get that color on him pretty easily, and it works pretty well. And it's dusty, so it looks like dirt and dust and sand, the fine sand. It's that weathering kind of effect. Okay, so we did that. Terrain powder is cool. It is a lot of fun. So let's see how bad our palette's looking today. Not too shabby, not too shabby. We're almost done, so not really worried about it too much. Got a bunch of paintbrushes hanging out all over the place today. I was busy working on more of the termagants last night, so I got tired. So Project Tyranid is always continuing. It's like the never-ending story. I'm going to get this backpack working, and then we'll come back to work on all the rest of the little details over there. So when we get this backpack finished up, so we can mount it and be done. It's such a tiny little piece. It doesn't even really look great in the... I don't know why I took my gloves off after I smashed all that. I kind of needed them for painting. Oh well. Live, learn, laugh, right? No, that's not what it is. It's live, love, laugh. Or love, love, live? No.
You got them all dusty. You didn't want to get dust on your miniature.
Oh, that's a good call. Let's say that's what we did. Let's say it was I didn't make an error. I was thinking ahead. That's Oh. Hey, hello, Joyce. How are you this afternoon, evening? I didn't sleep very well last night, so it's all starting to bleed together. Make sure we got those little spaces in between these little places done. And we'll do let's do the iron warriors for those hoses and the little vents, and then we'll come back and we'll finish up the trim and the skulls. think we can do the trim and the skulls on him, so we can get this thing mounted, which would be nice. I do want to get this little bit of back trim done first. Come on, give us a nice little focus. Almost had it. It almost had it. Come on. There we go. Yeah, it's a neat little deal. Two little funky skulls on there. Joyce is asking if this is an armored plate. It is not. The Space Marines in 40K basically wear little generators on their back to power their suits, and that's what this is. These are like a little generator. Now, when they're the good guys, they don't look like this. The good guys, theirs look a little bit more standard. Grab one. So you can see how theirs looks a little bit different on a regular Marine to a Chaos Marine. Because this is like the Chaos Marines. There aren't really like good guys in 40K, but the Imperium is kind of like the good guy-esque. I don't know, it's very hard to explain the advanced mechanics of who is good and bad in Warhammer. Because there's no real like actual good guy faction. They're all equally pretty bad for different reasons. But Chaos is definitely evil. That is pretty easy to, like, we don't even have to have a discussion. The good guys don't look as awesome. They really don't. The good guys, they look, oh, well, they've got some cool miniatures. So, like, this is a good guy commander, or this is a bad guy commander, and this is a good guy commander. And, painted up, he's going to look really cool. But he's also in Terminator armor, and this case, it's all very different. So, and the bad guys also are they kind of have the upper hand on abilities as well. A lot of times they're a little bit tougher and stuff. So, it's a funny little game with soldiers that grown men get mad about little pieces of plastic. It's hysterical. And if you play this game and you say you don't get mad about little pieces of plastic, then you've never painted some of these miniatures. I'm definitely not saying people get mad at the game itself, but golly, sometimes these miniatures will make you angry. You're just like, oh my goodness. It's a lot of work just to get a little army done so that you can play a game. But that's why you have a guy like me, because you could pay me and I could do it for you. Send your army to me and I'll paint it. For a fee, of course. But yeah, these backpacks are supposed to hold their little generators, which I think is strange since, like, the Chaos units, these guys, they don't really need, like, they have superhuman strength and demonic power and whatever. So I don't know that their generators function the same. It's something that's held over from the old days of the game. And the game's been around for a long time. I mean, nowadays I don't even think you would really need, and you can make batteries and stuff like that generators that go inside of the suit, and so you don't need all this Ghostbuster-esque proton pack looking stuff, but they still look so cool and they're so quintessential to the design of them. that you don't really want to give them up as a fan of the hobby. So you'll probably always be seeing them. They have kind of that, gives it that little bit of ray punk, if you're familiar with the term ray punk, which is kind of like steampunk, but it's for like, old school science fiction kind of things. And I mean like old, not like Star Trek original series old. I mean like pre that. I mean we're talking like Flash Gordon and John Carter and that sort of stuff. That's the Ray Punk. This kind of has that Ming the Merciless Ray Punk kind of stuff to it. This is, you definitely could see that being on old Ming. If you're familiar with Flash Gordon. And if you are, kudos. You're either pretty big into the nerddom or you're an old guy and still kicking around like me. Either way, congratulations, I think. It's really cool. It's a really cool backpack though. The whole thing's really neat. I'll get in here and drop. Joyce says she loved John Carter. It was fun. And that's an old serial they used to do in the 20s. They used to have John Carter, like black and white little films. Same thing with Flash Gordon. And then John Carter was also a comic book, and maybe it's an old story. I think there may have been a book originally. I'm not as up on John Carter as I was Flash Gordon. I loved Flash Gordon, but I was a huge fan of Queen. So like when they did a movie when I was a kid, and Queen wrote the soundtrack, and so I was totally sold. It's a terrible movie. Got Max von Sydow as Ming the Merciless. Timothy Dalton is in there. But it's got some amazing quintessential like 80s moments that if you haven't seen, then you really can't say you're up on 80s pop culture. As if you don't know Hawkman Dive, then you didn't live in the 80s. You may have been alive during the 80s, but you didn't live in the 80s. I'm totally gonna make my kids watch that movie again. Now that I've been talking about it, I gotta watch it. That movie's so funny. It's got that goofy kind of funniness to it. Very campy. Which is charming in its own way. As long as you signed up for it, you know it's coming. Somebody's phone's ringing. Okay. Kind of hard to tell where we're bronzed and where we aren't right now, but I think we're in pretty good shape. So we need a little bit of extra water because we're going to create that little wash. And the mystery is solved. It was Kristen's phone. Alright, so we're just going to give a nice hefty amount of that really watered down umber. Remember, that's raw umber. I use this for a lot of my natural washes. Okay. And just let all that just sit in there and dry for us. And we can actually attach this and let it dry. And we're going to be in great shape. And we'll come back. Come on, let's see it. Let's see it. You probably have to put it on him to see it. Anyway, it's tiny. But those skulls, we'll highlight some more on those skulls and really bring out their bone look later on. And it'll shine up real good for us. So we're going to put this on. One of the things I do recommend that you do is kind of this little post that's in here. You want to kind of give that guy a little roughen up. Okay? And what this is going to do is it's just going to kind of open up a pore for that acrylic, through that acrylic paint, and kind of let us be able to melt that plastic just a little bit better. It doesn't have to be perfect because it'll melt the acrylic too. But this way it's melting that. It's already starting to do a little bit of melting on the pin as well as this paint, so we can really bind it straight to his pin. Now, of course, you could do that before you started painting everything, but you know, that's all right. And then I'll just take the tip of a knife or a file, anything I can get, whatever's going to fit down inside that crevice, and I'm just going to score that again as well. And just kind of rough it up a little bit, help it stick. It's just going to help it stick. Okay. And then I recommend this stuff if you're just going to buy it. I have a formula to make it, and one of these days I'll show you guys how to do that. Not today. But you can actually make this stuff. It's not that hard. There's a formula. Anyway, but it's great. It's a very thin modeling glue, and how modeling glue, this kind of modeling glue works, is it will melt that plastic, and then the plastic bonds together. So that's what you're trying to do. So with this one, I'm gonna put it in the hole. Go let it hang out for just a second. And then we're going to put it on here. Now, give it a little bit of a twist a couple of times to let it set. And then we're just going to hold it till it settles itself in. Get it in the position we want. Make sure this is cleaned up. If you're going to be using this a lot, make sure you're wearing a mask. This stuff is too much of it, and you'll have a bad headache, maybe more. So, and it starts to set up pretty quick. So now, oh yeah, boom, there it is. The smaller the model, the harder it is for it to see it. Ooh, now we can see his little glowing eye too. Oh yeah. Those eyes and that skull look great. Yes. Yes. So pretty. Good looking model. Okay, so we need to fix this little bandage wrap here. And then there's a little box, kind of hard to see. It's all dark down there. There you go. You can see it right there. There's a little like pouch. So I'm going to probably bring it up as well. Give it a little bit of a look. Pull it out, pick it out, whatever you want to call that. So with this, I'm actually gonna put a little bit of this Naples yellow on it to start out. I want to put like white on it, but I do want to make this maybe look a little bit. Oop, it's not quite dry. Stay on there. If it doesn't like to stay on there, you can always super glue it. It'll stay on. I just need to not nudge it. What was it doing? Oh yeah. Working on this little box. So we want this to be lighter than the wraps on his handle. And then the wraps on the handle to be more muddy, more of that kind of deal. So I'm just gonna, on this, I'm gonna try and get the tops of the wraps and not down into the bottom of it. Just a little bit more of that brown. It may take a few layers to get this to look exactly the way we want. And we might also have to mix just a little bit of another color in there to pull it all the way out. Otherwise it may always remain kind of dark, and that's kind of a preference. If you want it to remain a darker leather color, then you'll leave it the way it is. But if you want to bring it up a little bit more, then you can add like you can change up your browns. You can add a little. I wouldn't recommend adding white. I would always add like that Naples yellow is good, or like a lighter tan color. Don't throw straight like titanium white in a brown. It always kind of looks a little off. Okay. You can see how that Naples yellow set in that box and really helped us pull that one out real quick. But again, that pouch it's going to be a nicer, newer looking leather anyway. Or I want it to be where you can see it in there. And the wraps on his axe, people are going to see it, but you're going to know it's there without having to like look at it. You see it. And we'll go ahead and I'll show you what this looks like when you mix. We make it take a little bit of Naples yellow and a little bit of this sienna. Not sienna. This one's burnt umber. Keep thinking about the Tyranids. I got on my brain. Okay. I probably need to get most of that off of there. I just need a little bit, and I'm just going to kind of highlight the edges of this guy, especially up here on the top. What's up?
Nothing. I'm just watching you paint.
And again, this one, we don't want to do this on the bottom. Just the top and this back edge here, where that light's really going to hit it. And it'll definitely pop right out for you. I'm just barely bringing it across the edges of those wraps. And if you want it even lighter, you can do that. Bill Allen's back. Hey, Bill. Says, hey, buddy, those metal accents are looking splendid, right? That gilding is just legit. He looks so mean. He's so fierce. So like I said, so we can always lighten it up just a little bit more as well. Take another step up if you want to make it lighter. And you might want it right here at this level. But again, just try to get the edges of those wraps, and don't be too forceful with it. It's okay if it's a little like not perfect in the coloration, especially something like leather or parchment paper or something like that. That stuff typically is not all the same color all over, and so a little bit of a randomness to the way the brush stroke applies, as long as you can see the details in the model, it gives it that more used look. Okay, without us having to come back to a wash and do that. So there's that axe thing done. There's his little pouch in the back taken care of. They are looking super good. I do not see him. We got to remember to finish up these guys. So that will be, I'm going to do that here in just a second. Just making sure I don't see anything crazy glaring that needs to be addressed. I don't think so. Looks pretty good. Alright, so looks like our wash is dried, so let's go ahead and accent these skulls. And again, remember where your light source is probably going to be. And just kind of try to grab the light sources. Don't worry so much about the recessed areas. Get that spot where you know your light's going to be hitting it. That's what's going to make it stand out. That's what's going to make it look three-dimensional. It's already three-dimensional. You're just helping is what you want to think about. That's the best part about painting a model or a sculpture, is that it really, the hard work is already done for you. You really just have to kind of take this other artist's idea of what they wanted and say, okay, so how do we, still not quite dry there. So how do we want it to paint it? How do we want it to color up? What color do we want it to be? I always loved taking, when I was younger, there's all sorts of books of the Parthenon in Athens. And I used to like to take the black and white pictures of the book, and I would take those black and white pictures and I would color them. And I had a lot of people say, "Oh, well, they're not colored. They're plaster. They're black. It's just marble." But I liked the color on it, and then come to find out they did paint them. How funny is that? Video Sensei says, "Cool model. What is it called?" This is Kharn the Betrayer. He is a 40K miniature by Games Workshop. Goes to a game called 40K, which is a military game. It's basically like Army Men with rules. And he is looking really, really good. We've got several episodes on how to do all this, so yeah, he's so awesome. He's so awesome. We talked a little bit about yeah, no worries. We talked a little bit about him. I'll go ahead and get a brief recap. He was one of the original members of the World Eaters, which is his legion. He's been around for a long time. He would have known all of the events of the Horus Heresy. So, and at this point in the game, he would be like over 10,000, or not 10,000. No, that's right. Like over 10,000 years old or something like that by our timeline. But Chaos Marine timelines work different. Anyway, he is the champion of Kharn, which is a chaos god, and that makes him, kind of demonically possessed. And he is a collector of skulls, as you can see. So, yeah, super cool. Now, we've got to think about what are we going to do for this base. I definitely want to use our terrain powder that we made. For those folks who were not here for the terrain powder, it was really neat. We still have to crush it up a little bit more, but it's coming along. And I'll crush a lot of this off of camera. It's kind of annoying on camera. See, okay, we all have shots. Ooh, slow down. Video Sensei says, what scale size is he? Could he be used in other tabletop games? Oh yeah, you could use him in tabletop. He's going to be a little bit bigger than like a standard Dungeons and Dragons piece, but these guys are designed to be a lot bigger. Space Marines are huge. And that's just to see a scale difference between, this is a Whiz Kid, this is from, golly, I think this is one of the pieces for that really popular one, Critical Role. So this is like a Critical Role miniature. And you can see they're really not that much. This guy's supposed to be like a mega human, and this is a regular human, so the size difference isn't too far off. So you could totally, I use Warhammer figures in my D&D games and stuff all the time. Especially their orcs. I have a bunch of orcs from old Warhammer Quest models and stuff like that that we use for Dungeons and Dragons. Just so because I don't want to paint more orcs right now. I'm usually busy painting something else. And Bill says, as long as you aren't super particular about the scale. Yeah, he answered the question exactly. Bill's exactly right. So as long as he says, as long as you aren't super particular about scale, you can mix and match minis from different games. I have a bunch of old 25 millimeter minis, 28 millimeter minis, and some newer 30 millimeters, and even heroic 32. This guy is a heroic 32. I think that's right. Although Games Workshop scale is its own scale, and the game they are very they're very good at protecting their IP and their stuff. So, but yeah, totally could use him. It'd be fun to have this guy running at a couple stormtroopers. If you wanted to put him in a sci-fi game, it's super exciting. So anyway, so let's see. We gotta think about a terrain. I got a lot of fun bits. We've got small rocks. I'm gonna throw that right on the ground. We got small rocks. We got larger rocks. I've got this ugly. This is another static grass. I haven't used this one yet because it's kind of like an ugly dead grass, right? It's kind of mulchy, like old forest bed where the pine needles are half rotted or something. That might be fun. Let's see what else we got. Oh, and I bought these two. Although this probably isn't going to be for what we want today. These are for like undergrowth and stuff like that. These are really nice. Ethan Mars jumped on. Says Warhammer, yeah, for the Emperor. So yeah, it's we're debating base materials. Ethan, welcome aboard. And so we're talking about different things to base him with. I can definitely remove him. That wouldn't be a big deal if we want to stack him up a little higher or something like that. I was wondering about maybe some more skulls or some heads or something. It'd be fun to have a dead space marine or something down there, or maybe some partial space marines. And we can also make some rocks and some crags. And we did make some terrain powder. So I guess we just got to figure out what we want to do and then get started. I definitely think we want to take him up a little bit. I think we want to make him higher. Him sitting square on this base, he seems like he needs to be elevated. So I feel like we need to pull him off of there. What are you laughing at? Let's make sure we got all our brushes and stuff cleaned up, and we're going to get these things put away real quick. That way we don't get a bunch of stuff inside of our palette. Although we don't really need it anymore now that we're done painting. And maybe I've got some of the stuff for my Tyranid models in there anyway, so we'll use that later. Anywho. Well, let's see what else we got in here. Here's a head. I've got a little head right here. We put that skull down on, or the head down on there. We get some bits of some chalk, some cork. Got a lot of small rocks and stuff. That might be fun. Oh, and here's a fun thing. I started collecting all these little sand burrs. I'm going to start making like some sort of funky terrain pieces out of those. Like, I don't know, some top to a carnivorous plant or something. I don't know. Might be fun. Let's see. I've got a bigger piece of cork down here that might be perfect for what we want to do. There we go. Yeah. I have no idea what this went to. But I confiscated it, and now we're going to use it. Give me those gloves right there. Those right there. Yep. So these are like Kevlar gloves. So Village of LaGrange Park official. Hey, hello and welcome. It says awesome minis. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate that. We're getting ready to base this guy up. Haven't quite figured out what exactly we're gonna do. I know we're gonna use some of we made some terrain powder, so we're gonna use some of that. So I'm thinking we should have him running across maybe like some sandstone, and then we'll put that terrain paste in there, and then not paste, train pigment, and then we'll figure out where to go there. But I definitely want to bring them up a little bit. So I've got my Kevlar gloves, and these things will help like not slice into my hand. That's nice. So, because you know, you're real guys, you got to protect your hands and your eyes and your mouth and your lung, especially your lungs. All right, I'm not really concerned with this being a super clean cut, because I do want to kind of use the bottom of this where it's going to be kind of crunchy and not quite as good. And I'm okay if it comes apart in pieces, because we want it to be kind of craggy and whatnot. And I save all sorts of cork to create rocks and bits. It's a great thing to save. I got a drawer full of them right here. So like, if you got an old pot you broke that had, oh, this is part of its, you know, had cork on it or whatever, save that stuff. Don't throw it away, because it's very, very, very useful. All right, now let's see. I'm gonna have to re-glue that thing on there later. I keep knocking it off. All right, so there's an easier way to do this with some glue remover, but I usually have to get underneath it before I can do that. And my son may have glued this thing on here pretty dang good. Yeah, he likes to. No, it'll come off of here. If I have to, I'll just chemically treat it and it'll pull it off. But he's very, Cullen is very in with the glue. My oldest son, he glues the stop out of it. The Illumini Round says, this is very awesome content. Keep it up. Hey, I appreciate that, man. It's kind of a passion project of mine, really, which is fun. I was a chef before I started doing this, and then my lungs and my pulmonary system have kind of gone haywire on me, so I had to give up my chef life, and my other life was art. That's what I do to relax. So now I get to come on here and relax with you fine folks. See, right there, it popped right off. And again, make sure these things are not super expensive. They're a Kevlar type glove. You use them for sheet metal or whatever. And you can buy them on Amazon or wherever. They're not hard to get a hold of, but they're super safe and a whole lot better, guys. You do not want to cut big holes in your fingers. And sometimes it's getting it on a mat. It just doesn't work out that way. You really have to use your hands. So definitely invest in a pair of like some Kevlar gloves that'll help protect your fingers. Because once you slice that, you're done. You can't paint for a while. You know. All right, so we've got a couple of these chunks. We're gonna break them up just a little bit more. Yeah. Bill says safety first. Definitely, Bill. You are right on the money, sir. Safety first in all things. Now I love that we've already got a curve here. I don't want to stack this too much over that, but I think maybe we want to set pretty close on some of it. I'm going to pull some of this off. And that's just, the great thing about cork is it wants to pull out of there. So you can just kind of nibble away at it. And if you want, you could use like, oh, I've used these before. If they'll come out of there. Of course they're not. You could use little snips, like wire snips or whatever, and that works pretty good too. It'll pull it out of there for you. Or tweezers, you know, whatever kind of makes you feel good. Bill says in the kitchen and in the craft room. Yeah. I really enjoyed chefing. I taught culinary school for a while, and I got to do a lot of fun things. I met some really amazing people along the way. Just, you know, it was a great career, and I definitely miss it. But I'm also glad that I'm going to be around a lot longer. You know, I had to kind of make the choice between, you know, the chef life or being able to hang out with my kids as they grow up, or be around her and longer and all that stuff. So I had to make some choices, and I think I made the right one. So Oh yeah, Bill's got a good story. Here we go. Bill Allen says, I'll never forget learning my lesson as a child about knife safety in the kitchen. 6 years old, helping cut up apples to make apple pie, and stuck a knife right into the palm of my hand. Oof. Oof. Whew. That's pretty rough. That's pretty rough. Wildest one I ever saw, wasn't me. It's in one of my classes, and I'm a pretty safety-oriented guy, so I'm usually very much about going over safety and stuff like that. So I know I had said a bunch of, make sure you keep your eye on your knife. Don't just leave it lying around. Yeah. In all culinary school, we were always teaching that. And somehow, somebody had put a towel over the top of one of the knives, and it was on the table, and one of my students went and grabbed this knife and grabbed the table, the cloth off the table to pull the cloth, and it spun around and cut his finger right through here. I mean, and it opened it all the way up, and it's brutal. It's brutal. Bill says, hurt almost as much as my ma smacking me upside the head with a wooden spoon after I did it. Yeah, that's definitely how that ends, isn't it? What are you doing? You gotta love parenthood. So with this guy, I'm just gonna grab a little bit of super glue. This is Gorilla Glue. It's their gel. I love this stuff. It's a gel, and it is almost instant stick, and you can start working with it pretty quickly, which is a big deal to me. Bill says, "Yup." That's definitely how it goes. I love my children, but man, sometimes I'm like, what exactly was going through your head here? Or was there anything going through your head? All right, yeah, I like it. I like that. Just a little bit higher. We've got a little bit of terrain there. We'll just set him down on top of that. And then we can fill in the rest of this stuff with some of our gravel. And we can go from there. I'll let that set up for just a second. We are going to need to do a little base coating on that, aren't we? We'll have to do a little bit of painting, so we'll need to bring that palette back over in just a second. Another rock, maybe? No. Holy moly, jumped up to a 20 view rate. That's pretty awesome. And 9 people on watching it once. So, yeah, thank you everybody for stopping by. Really, really appreciate it. If you like what I do, totally give us the subscribes, and you know the drill. The subscribes, the likes, the shares. It helps us kind of get what we're doing out there, so we can help some more people kind of learn how to do new things, maybe. Or just find a place to zen out and listen to me run my mouth. I'm okay with that too. I got a few people that say they listen to me to go to sleep, and I think that's awesome. I like that my voice is soothing enough to make somebody sleepy, so that's cool. In its own fun, special way. It's very cool. Okay, so, Bill's back. Let's see. Bill says, my oldest boy always loved cooking. He's a high school senior now, but he's taking advanced culinary, and international foods. Great. He's made some great family meals great meals for the family. Yeah, that's super cool. I loved chef life. We owned a restaurant, her and I, until I went down, and I'd never give it up for anything. It was a blast. You know, that brush is gonna be too small. We need a bigger brush. We're gonna need a bigger boat. Pull out this big old number 1 or 4. This is a number 4, not number 1. My number 1. Let's see. Bill says, Pat, are you the Bob Ross of the mini painting world? Man, you know, that would be like the highest compliment anyone could ever pay me. I'm a huge Bob Ross fan, and we do have Bobby's here. Come out here, Bobby. I have a Bob bobblehead. That's fantastic. I should always just bring him out, right? Have him out somehow. So growing up, I had two major influences in my life for art. Bob Ross was one of them, and then my Aunt Kathy was the other. She was an artist and still is. I think she still does work. I haven't seen it in a while, and she's gotten a little older. So I don't know what she's been working on lately. But she was a very a known artist in New Mexico. And when I was a kid, we used to go out there and we would get to play in her studio and do that sort of stuff. It was a lot of fun. Oh, he's saying he's bestowed. Oh, I see that. Yeah. I have a little icon down there at the bottom. I can't see like 3 words and whatever the newest comment is. So Bill says, I bestow this title upon you. I appreciate it. That's super cool, man. I really appreciate that. I definitely, it's so different than me as a chef. She's over there laughing because she knows how true that is. And anybody who's worked with me as a chef knows that I was much more like Chef Ramsay and much less like Bob Ross as the chef. But this makes me a whole lot calmer. I'm a whole lot happier doing this, honestly. My lovely mother, as mother's always trying to make sure their sons and daughters are getting the best. She was worried. I was like, oh, you're going to be bored or that. And it's like, no, not really. I kind of really like doing this. And, eventually we're going to have some more followers, and we've already picked up a couple of commissions. I think I got a new one in the pipe right now. I'm super excited about. Unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be doing it live. It's a top secret project.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. So we might show it after it's all said and done. And the top secret project is where the top secret project needs to be. And if you're involved in this project, you know who you are, and I thank you.
So mysterious.
It's so mysterious. Gotta have good times, guys. Gotta have a good time. All right, we're gonna let that dry a little bit. I missed my air can. I gotta get another one. Bill Allen back again says, we just gotta get you up to 1,000 subs so you can monetize and get super chat donations. Yeah, that would be so cool. Like, I would totally blow all of that money on art projects. But then I wouldn't have to be paying for my own stuff. But yeah, that'd be so cool. I never even considered the idea of doing something like this till my friend Crypto Mikkel brought it up, and he runs a crypto channel. He's a friend of the channel. If you're into crypto, check out Crypto Mikkel. He keeps up to date on all the new stuffs for that. So if you're into cryptocurrency and crypto mining, check out Crypto Mikkel. And that's my plug for the day. So, but yeah, he's a great guy, and definitely check out his stuff. All right, so we want to let that dry a little bit, and then we're going to come back and we're going to put a wash on that. I'm going to start cleaning up my stuff. Always save all your debris. Always save it. It's good. You'll need it later. These little pieces make great little filler rocks or whatever. So save all that stuff. She's always laughing at me because I save all sorts of wild things. I have a whole cart full of trash over there that's like old electronic pieces and things that I save to make terrain stuff out of. You'll never know what you get when you see something wild. And if you want to see like the master of like building stuff out of weird things, check out a guy named Bill Makes Stuff. That guy's nuts. If you've ever seen any of his work, he's so cool. And he's chill like me too. He's got a very chill personality. Lots of great guy. Like, I really enjoy his work. Anytime I get a chance to watch it. I also watch a guy called Boil Eye Hobby Time. He's got some really neat builds if you're into modeling and stuff. Are we there yet? Not quite. I'll blow on it like it's hot. This side's done. Just gotta wait on that other side to get done. All right. All right, Mr. Man. We'll take a look at our guy while we're sitting here talking. Make sure we didn't miss anything. Super important. My son did miss. I did find like just a few little mold lines he missed, but you know, for a teenager who mostly spends his time on TikTok, he did a great job. Like, I was really impressed. Bill says, brother, at one point in time, I had 4 Rubbermaid bins full of crafting junk. Toilet paper rolls, empty yogurt cups, wire, washers, wood bits, corkboard, cardboard, pink foam, etc. Oh yeah, man. That's how it goes. My next goal is I got a closet that's right here, and I'm going to clean that out so we can start storing things in there. I keep it pretty light though. I go through it about once every quarter, and like if I'm like, man, I don't know what the heck I was thinking, I'll throw it away. You know, and I also have a smell test. If something starts to smell weird, I don't keep it. Like, that smells funky. But man, that may just be a chef thing for me. Okay, yeah, we're there now. So, where's our nappy guy? And again, always keep this is my nasty guy. I love this brush. So this was an old synthetic brush that my kids messed up. And I keep it for doing like washes and stuff like that, especially if I'm not terribly worried about where it's going to end up, like a wash or something like that. And I'm going to do a big zone or area of coverage to wash. This guy is great for it. So we're going to really get in that crack down in here in the bottoms. Like to come over the top of this sandstone just lightly. If we have a few of this stuff lift up, that's okay. Just pull it right off of there. It'll help expose a little bit more of that stuff for us. Don't get too crazy. Especially that one right there hasn't quite dried, so we want to be kind of careful. You can also just kind of blot like that. And work out real nice. I think the idea is just kind of make sure we've got total coverage. We don't want anything to look out of place. It's gonna help. It's also helping to soak down into the nooks and crannies and crevices. Make it look more like rock, less like cork. But really, at scale, it looks great. You know, so now it looks like these are 2 chunks of sandstone that are sitting out. You know, once it dries and it's not so shiny, it'll look better, but that's okay. So, we are now at an hour, which is usually our stoppage time. I think we're going to do just a little bit more here. See if we can't get this guy finished up today. This is pretty close. Maddox McDonald says, awesome. Thanks, Maddox. I really appreciate that. We definitely have a good time around here. You can see how that's really, as soon as that dries out, that's going to look just like 2 chunks of stone. Then we'll come in with, where'd that stuff go? We're going to come in with a little bit of this. And I think I do want to use some of this steppe grass. This stuff will start pretty gnarly looking. It looks pretty grotesque. Ethan Maurer says, it's really cool how you can take recycled materials and make things out of them. Absolutely, man. That's really the best way to go. You can spend a ton of money on different things, and some of this stuff is great. Like, you know, this is all a consistent sand look. You know, that looks like, and it's going to be consistent. But you can also go out into your driveway if you have a gravel driveway, and you can collect a bunch of gravel bits, and you can send them through strainers, and you can pull out some of this stuff. It may not be as consistently the same color or the same size or whatever, but you can always paint that. You can always change that. So it just kind of depends on what you want to do. And some people think that this is the best way to go because they don't want to have to fuss with all that other stuff. And there's nothing wrong with that. Or they want a consistent look, and that's great too. You know, there's many ways to skin a kitty cat, so to speak. So, okay, come on, let's get this guy dry. I missed my air can. I had a can of air in here for a while, think it's dead. Yeah, it's dead. It's just got like a barely a whisper. You want to be careful doing that though, because it can spread your paint around and make like streaks and stuff. So don't blow it too much. Okay. We'll go back and clean up our area again a little bit. So we are almost to the promised land. We'll keep this guy out because we'll use him on that terrain. That terrain dust we made. Looking pretty sweet. And I am going to go ahead and I'm going to put super glue on the back of this guy instead of trying to use that other glue that did not want to hold. Even with my marking it up, didn't want to stick on there real good. But I guarantee you this this super glue will stick it on there pretty dang good. And since it's not going to get shown, you're not going to see that frosty white. That's why you don't want to really use super glue on all your pieces. Okay, make sure we're straight. There we go. All right. Looking pretty spiffy. Looking pretty spiffy. As soon as this guy dries. And I think I want to put him right smack in the middle. Right there. And then we're going to hit all this up with this terrain paste. Or not paste. Terrain dust. And then we'll put down any grass pieces we want to put down. But we gotta wait for this to dry. So you're literally watching paint dry. How fun is that? And everybody says, "Oh, I'm so bored I could watch paint dry." Well, here on this channel, we get you that bored. I'm a goofball. Well, we might have to wait till tomorrow to get this done. We're starting to drop down in viewership, but that's okay. I really wanted to get this guy finished today. I don't think we're going to make it. Lots of drying to do. Alright guys, I'm super sorry, but I think we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. And we're going to come back, and we're going to finally be able to Kharn. Unless there's another air can. Do you know where there's another air can?
Maybe.
Hold on, Kristen might know where there's another air can. If I can get an air can, I can dry this thing up pretty quick. I guess I could turn on my compressor, but that thing's loud. And I don't like getting a whole lot of loud things in the show. It makes me crazy. But anyway, yeah, we're getting pretty close here. I guess while we're waiting, we can work more on our terrain pigment. In case you missed this earlier, you can make terrain pigment. These are old. They're old pastels. It's like a chalk. I use for other things, and you just smash this stuff up, and it eventually will make a powder. And Kristen found another can of air. Now again, this is like an emergency thing only. You don't want to do this all the time, and it will definitely, if you don't have it mostly dry when you start, your paint will blow around and it'll pool in weird places. And you don't want it to do that because it'll make it look weird. But when it's mostly dry and you're just trying to finish it up real quick, can of air, you can see it right there where it's blasting out of it. You don't want to do that. We're going to cover that up with rocks, so I don't care. Or grass. I might put some of that grass down there. Yeah, just a good old-fashioned can of air. Blow it around. Right? Dust. It's blowing all the dust out from back there. Okay. Now we're in business. So, get a little bit of my favorite glue. Get one of these guys right here. I'm going to put a little glue in there. We don't need a whole lot, just a little bit. And this stuff helps this terrain stuff stick down real well, which is great. Alright, I like to put this on. Come here. Whoa, I'm throwing it around. I use these cheapos. Now this is just like an old plastic, synthetic bristled chunk brush. I keep a bunch of them around for my kids to use for projects. And so like stuff like this, a lifesaver. Because you don't have to use your good brushes and put glue in them. Because please don't do that. please don't put glue in your good brushes. So we just want to water this down just a little bit. Don't water it down too much, but you want to get it where it spreads pretty easily, but it's still going to stick really well. So you can see it's still pretty thick. And that's what we want. Now, like I said, I put this color down underneath it because we want the base color to not be black. We want it to be the color of everything else going on. And I want a little bit of this to be rock. And I want a little bit of this to be that grass. So we have just a little bit of a change up. And we want to get a little bit of rock in between here. Like it kind of is coming out of that. And we're also going to do some in the back. Now the way to do two different types is we're not going to put the glue on the other place until we need to. So like this is where we want to have our grass. We don't put the glue on there yet. I do want some to fall and stick inside here, so I need some glue down in there. And then if you'll hand me that little pan down there. It's also good to have yourself a pan or two around for doing your terrain. That way you can shake things off and you can save the excess, or at least some of it. You'll have to wipe these pans out in between uses. Otherwise you'll end up with, not the right color of thing in the right place. But it's always nice to have, little pans. They don't have to be quite this big. As a chef, I have a whole bunch of this stuff that's just laying around, so it's kind of easy for me. Okay, so you just kind of throw that in there. And that pan's just going to catch our excess, which is what we want to see happening. Which is great. Give it a little tap. And you can see how everything's just kind of sticking. I'm going to go rub that off because I don't want them necessarily sticking up on the very tops. I want to make it look natural, like it. If they are on there, they fall into where they should naturally be. Down inside the crevices. Probably get a little bit more in here. Alright, I'll let that dry for just a second while we put all this away. Oh, hold on. While I reclaim my other stuff and I put the rest of the stuff away. Because then we can get just a little bit back. Especially like some of those terrain things, if you're getting specialty terrain textures and flocks, they can get kind of expensive. So definitely trying to save as much of it as you can is a helpful tip, in my opinion. In my opinion. Yeah, here, thanks, hold up. Alright, so clear that off. I don't really want it on the edge of the base, so I'm going to clear that off real quick with just my finger. No big deal. We're going to paint this black around the outside of it, so all that stuff won't show, the little streaks and such. Just make sure it all looks good. Alright. So second verse, same as the first, but this time we're going to do a little bit of grass. Just to kind of give it some different kind of textures and looks. And this one, we can probably just go ahead right back into the container. You can put that. Just put
I was
that
wondering
down.
if you're done with
Yeah, just put that down somewhere over there.
Okay.
I was wondering if I was done with it too. I didn't really know. All right, so this is a static grass. So it's better if you have a static grass applicator, but you can just kind of sprinkle it on from a little bit of a higher deal and let it fall, and then dump that guy upside down. Give it a little bit of a shake, and it'll kind of do the work for you. Yeah. See, now we got just a little bit of grass growing underneath one of those guys. It's not really good looking grass. It's kind of old, kind of brown and icky. Not super happy to be there. Okay. So now it's time to glue our dude down. I'm going to go ahead and super glue this guy as well to the base, because that way it sits on there real good. We don't want to take any chances. Okay, so now we're talking about positioning. We want this, there we go, right about there. I'm going to let it set up for just a moment. If there's any excess glue, you want to get that off of there. There usually is, and don't waste time. We're going to put a little bit more paint on here, and then that pigment. We don't want globs. We don't want it to look like it's rolled up from underneath the unit itself. I'm just flipping things everywhere today. It's probably because we were having a conversation about flipping people off this morning. One of my friends on social media was wondering why we flip people off now, and why it's such a bad thing, and why we take offense to it and all that. And I told the old legend of the 100 Years' War, where the French used to cut the the fingers off of the middle finger off of the Welsh bowmen so that they couldn't fire their bows. All right, so while that's setting up, let's put just a little bit of. I'm gonna put a little bit of that Naples yellow down on the part that's showing that base before we come in with the terrain powder. And our last bit will be, I think we're going to put one little sprig of our fun little grass. So we want to be super flippin' careful here, and we don't need it to be a super clean paint job as far as like it being covering everything properly. What we want to not do is paint over the gold on his boots and all that. We're just trying to come up to it. It's okay if it's got a little shadow. All this is going to do is help our terrain pigment shine up a little bit better. Bill says, got to head out. Keep up the good work, Pat. Thank you so much, Bill. I appreciate you every time, brother. I hope you have a great night. I know you're a super busy guy.
What are you doing, Buttons?
Oh gosh, the cat's back. That cat's crazy.
He's like trying to get a tool down off the tool wall or something.
Hey, did you break something again? Dude's forever breaking my stuff. We gotta fix it. I think he thinks he can just fix his own stuff. Hey, bro, you don't have opposable thumbs though, my G. That's not going to work for you, man. It's just not. So again, we're just trying to get a little bit of stuff going on there, just to give that this train pigment a color to sit on. Also, be super careful. You don't want to put your bristles in any excess glue. You'll be spending a while cleaning it out. Super glue in your bristles sucks. I think I've done pretty good. So I keep checking. I keep pulling my brush down here, and I'm pulling it through my fingertips just to make sure I don't have any super glue on it, because you don't want it to sit on there for too long. I think I have like one hair has it. That's another reason why you buy the
Hey!
You
can't stand in the plant.
Oh my god.
No. No. Oh yeah.
Uh-huh.
I'm so mistreated.
I mean,
Won't even let him stand in the plant.
Won't even let him stand in a plant. You see the life I live when you're not here? She's like, well, I don't want to come on and disturb anything. I'm like, yeah, what are you going to disturb? Whatever butt doesn't. That cat is like disturbed in general.
He really did have like 3 of his 4 paws in this plant. It was impressive.
Oh yeah, no, it doesn't. I'm not surprised at all. I am not surprised at all. Okay, so we're almost there. We're going to get our terrain pigment that we've made, or we're in the current process of making. We're just going to give some of this stuff a little bit of a dust. And I'll make it look it's got dust on it, and we're just going to kind of boop, 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 boop. And you don't be afraid of this stuff. It takes a good amount of it to get on there. But it will, and it is a dusty look. It can come up his legs and stuff like that, and it looks like the dust underneath has reached up onto his personages. I think I might need just a touch, a little too bright there at the top. So or at the bottom, we're going to take a little bit of our raw umber and just kind of dab that in. Take care of any of those little places where it looks a little bit off. But like his feet, put those on his boots, and you can see it makes it look dirty and dusty. Come on, focus for us. Come on, Mr. Camera. There you go, Steve. Thank you. Now you can see kind of the dirt and grime underneath his feet. We're going to go ahead and terrain powder all this rock, because we want it to have that same look. And we'll keep picking up any of these little places where we feel like maybe we need to add a little this or that. Give some to these rocks too. And you do pretty liberal with this stuff. I mean, it will do the job, but it takes a lot. It takes a little bit of doing and some patience. Don't get too worked up. If it looks like it's not quite going your way, then make some changes. Do what you got to do. Like I said, some of these places where that Naples yellow is just a little too bright, we'll come back in and add a little bit of this umber umber to it. And then we'll have to come back and we'll have to hit it up with the powder again once it dries down a little bit more. Then it'll start to blend in. That little bit of the rock to the other rock, as you can see, starting to look like it's one piece. And that's the idea. Then to make his feet look like he's been running through the dirt. Because he is that guy. Great. Okay. Oh, I'm way out of camera because this thing's so dang big. All right. Okay. Well, only got 2 things left to do. Definitely want to put one of these ugly things on here somewhere. They're so awesome. Oh yeah, this one right here. These things, you got to be super careful getting these things out because they will rip each other apart. So just kind of gently try to separate them. Sometimes that's not a word that they understand, but there we go. There we go. Threw it right on the ground. But these things are awesome. So we're going to put it right there. Right there. I like it back in the bag. Alright, set it down, push it down real good, and then reset the fluffs. You can move these around a little bit. I might trim that big one off of there. Or not. We get to set it like that. That looks pretty cool. Alright. Oh, the last thing. My favorite part. Blacking the rim. Make sure you go around and get anything off of there that doesn't need to be on there. And then we're done. Only a half an hour over today, which is pretty awesome. Hey, again, so if you like what we're doing, please consider giving us that like and subscribe. You know, we're kind of in the beginnings of this channel, so mostly what it does is it makes me feel like this is something people want to watch, and it kind of just keeps me going. It gives me energy, gives me a little smile. You know, eventually we're gonna get to, like what Bill said, you know, have some channel members and get the super chats going and all those good things. But for now, like, if you want to help, just give us that like and subscribe. Maybe share us to your game friends if you got friends that are into tabletop, or you know, hobbying, model building, any of that kind of stuff. Just give them send them over to us. Love to help out. And if you've got any models you need painted, you know, holler at me. Yeah, you can easily find me Pieces Pat Paints on Facebook or Instagram. That's where we hang out. Or not hang out. That's where I'm easy to find. So anyway, I also have a website that is of the same name, piecespatpaints.com. Don't drop him. So there he goes. He looks awesome. Get ready for the short. It'll be coming soon with him and his magnificence. And if you want to buy this guy, I will be putting him up for sale. Again, contact me in the aforementioned places to purchase said piece. But yeah, it'll be selling this guy. So lots of fun. I really, really appreciate every single one of you guys. You're so amazing. All the chatter was great. All the encouragement is super awesome. And we're going to go ahead and outro us, and we'll talk to you tomorrow, which will be back on Project Tyranid. We've got a brand new Tyranid to look at. Well, not brand new to us on the channel, But you get what I'm saying. So I'll have a new Tyranid on to paint up, and that'll be exciting because he's got a crazy like mortar gun thing, parasite attached to him. So it'll be super cool. Anyway, I hope you guys had a great day. I know I did, and have a great rest of your week if I don't see you tomorrow. And yeah, have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.